Coming up on Locked On Dodgers, on Saturday, we got the excitement of Shohei Ohtani announcing he was signing with the Dodgers. On Monday evening, we got the excitement of the Dodgers making it official. Shohei Ohtani is officially a Dodger. So is Joe Kelly. One of those is a little bit more exciting than the other, although they're both good news. We'll talk about both of those things. We'll get into the details of Ohtani's contract, including the deferrals, and we'll talk about the trade that the Dodgers and Yankees pulled off to make room on the roster for both Ohtani and Kelly. That's what's on tap. So let's get Locked On Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Dodger fans, this is Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. Remember, this show is free and available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube, simply by searching for Locked On Dodgers. Or even better, go and subscribe wherever you're watching and listening right now. Then you will never miss a day, because you know we're not going to. If this is your first time with us, I am Jeff Snider. That guy next to me is Vince Samperio. Vince and I are both lifelong Dodger fans. Just like you are. We've also both spent time covering the Dodgers in the press box and the locker room. We've been podcasting together about the Dodgers for over 8 years, and we bring you the smart fans perspective on our boys in blue every weekday morning. It's a lot of fun doing it, and it's been a whole lot of fun the last few days. We really appreciate all of you who are new here with us. Our numbers say that there are a lot of you, and we hope you'll stick around even when there's not huge groundbreaking news like there has been the last couple days. It's a lot of fun talking Dodgers, and there is maybe not as huge and as groundbreaking, but a deal like the Shohei Ohtani deal becoming official is a big deal, especially because there were people, fans of other teams still holding out hope that, somebody had tweeted out that the Dodgers haven't commented on it yet. Maybe there's a problem with the physical. You and I, we said on this podcast, we knew that there was nothing wrong with the physical because the guy who performed Shohei Ohtani's Tommy John surgery is the Dodgers team doctor. They're very familiar with those details. It was just that the Dodgers can't comment on it until the signing is official, and they didn't even have room on their 40-man roster for the signing to become official until Monday morning. We will talk about the trade that cleared up those spots in the last segment. But Vince, for me, when I read the tweet this evening that from the Dodgers announcing it officially that they had signed Shohei Ohtani, it was like not quite the same rush as when Ohtani announced it on Saturday, but it was another rush. Like, just, this is really happening. It's official. Nobody can take this away from us now.
Yeah, it was a couple rushes on Monday. The first one was when the contract deferral information came out and you realized just how much Ohtani was giving up in the present time and how much, the Dodgers get to save on luxury tax and all that. And then, when it became official, it was exciting. It's regardless of how sure we were, you never really know until it's out there in the social media world. And then, I was excited to see what the Dodgers social and production team was going to come up with. And they did a dope, I believe, anime little, kind of origin story of Ohtani growing up. They didn't put him in Angels jersey, which was interesting in his little going from young guy to where he is now. But they put him in all his other jerseys. And, it was cool to see. Exciting, definitely more exciting than I thought it would be for something that we kind of knew was going to happen.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I felt too. Like, I didn't expect to be that excited when it became official, but it's kind of like how Christmas morning, the best thing about Christmas season is looking forward to Christmas morning. But it's still exciting on Christmas morning too, and you'd think it would be a little bit of letdown. Letdown comes on Christmas evening when you're like, wait, tomorrow we are the farthest from Christmas we've ever been. That's when the letdown comes. But I feel like Ohtani announcing it on Saturday was like the 3 or 4 days leading up to Christmas Eve, with all the, it's the best part of the season. But then Christmas morning's pretty awesome too. That's when everything pays off. You actually get the present wrapped up under your tree, and this Castle Grayskull that you just got for the He-Man collection, nobody can take that away from you. Maybe you're not as old as me, Vince. What's your point?
Yeah, I know what that is, but definitely wasn't on my list when I was growing up. But yeah, I mean, it was, like I said, what we expected in terms of an introductory press conference. The only person that's mentioned anything so far is Bob Nightingale. He said it's on Thursday. He's usually pretty tapped in with the Dodgers and kind of, things that are going on with them. So I would imagine he knows that. So we'll hear directly from Ohtani. But, Ohtani did have a statement in it talking about, bringing parades, not just one, bringing parades to the Dodgers and their fans. And, it obviously gets you excited because you know that the Dodgers are going to have a good chance of doing that all 10 years he's here realistically. The exact quote is, "Dodger fans, thank you for welcoming me to your team. I can say 100% that you, the Dodger organization, and I share the same goal to bring World Series parades to the streets of Los Angeles." And even though we got our World Series in 2020, we didn't get the parade. So I think the fact that he used parades instead of anything else like titles or rings, I think that was, pointed to us specifically, but maybe I'm just reading into it.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And every player says something like that when they sign with the team, except Bryce Harper, who accidentally said Washington, D.C. when he meant Philadelphia when he signed with the Phillies. But every player talks about wanting to bring a title. And we're going to come back in a minute and talk about the fact that Shohei Ohtani really put his money where his mouth is with this contract to do everything that he can to help the Dodgers have some parades during his time with the team. So we'll be back in a minute to talk all about the details of his contract. So thanks for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen, and please keep it Locked On Dodgers. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Moneyline bet means you just pick the winner of any game. Choose your game if you feel confident about who's going to win a game. You pick your winner, put $5 on it, and if you're right, you get $150 in bonus bets that you can use for any other bets on FanDuel. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. You can bet on the over-unders for Dodgers wins in 2024. I'm telling you, bet the over. I mean, if that's what you feel. I'm not giving you betting advice, but I think the Dodgers are going to be pretty good next year. And if you had bet on Shohei Ohtani signing with the Dodgers, even though he was the favorite, I bet you could have got pretty good odds because the field was always the favorite. And so many things you could bet on FanDuel. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Hey, we're back. We want to thank you all for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning, especially our everydayers. Those of you who are with us every weekday morning, we love you. We love talking Dodgers with you. And if you're not an everydayer, it's really easy to become one. Just watch or listen every weekday morning. Also want to remind you, Locked On has two 24/7 streaming channels on YouTube that might be of interest to you. One is called Locked On Sports Today. The other is Locked On Sports Los Angeles. Locked On Sports Today focuses on all the world of sports, all the news you need in one streaming channel. So you're getting all of our national shows from Locked On for all the different sports, all the big stories. I bet this episode might show up on Locked On Sports Today, since we are talking about the Ohtani signing becoming official. And Locked On Sports Los Angeles, I know this episode will be there because that is focused specifically on Los Angeles sports. So Locked On Dodgers, Locked On Lakers, Locked On Rams, all those other teams, plus some of the national shows. Check out those two 24/7 streaming channels on YouTube. And with that said, let's get back into these contract details. So the big news on Saturday was 10 years, $700 million. It's a mind-boggling number. We got the official news on, well, I guess we didn't get official news on the deferrals, but we got enough people reporting it that we're assuming it's official, that Shohei Ohtani is deferring $68 million per year for the 10 years of the contract. So he is making $2 million a year for the 10 years that he's playing for the Dodgers. And then he's making $68 million a year for each of the 10 years beginning his first year after that contract's up. And so, it's mind-boggling numbers still. I mean, you and I would be happy to make $2 million a year, Oh, you want to give me 20 million bucks over the next 10 years? Sure. For Shohei, that's, 3% of the overall payment that he's getting. And the reason he did this is, like I said before the break, he's putting his money where his mouth is. He wants the Dodgers to be able to make more moves to improve the team and give them the best chance of having parades in Los Angeles, pretty frequently over the next 10 years, hopefully several World Series parades. And, I'm going to break down in just a second exactly what impact these deferrals have. But Vince, were you we had heard the majority of the contract, a significant amount of the contract is deferred. I was still shocked to see just how majority and how significant it was being deferred.
Yeah, I mean, shock is the initial word when you see 68 million deferred every year, or 680 million deferred over the course of the first 10 years. It's a big number, and obviously, we knew that I was going to be big, and we've seen. I think Max Scherzer did half of his contract when he signed with the Nationals. He did 105 out of 210, and that did a little bit to the CBT number, but nothing, exponential. This is $24 million added to the Dodgers in terms of luxury tax. Now, the Dodgers aren't going to be tied down to luxury tax. They'll pass it if they ever needed to, but it puts them in a good spot to not have to pass it to the point where they lose draft picks or drop draft picks. So, that's a good sign to keep the sustained future for the 10 years or over the time Ohtani's here, along with, putting that money where they kind of need it in terms of spending on other players. And regardless of how excited we are for the Dodgers and for Ohtani and everything else, they do still have holes in the roster that they have to fill in order to maximize, this year and years forward. They do need a couple starting pitchers and need another bat. So, that's some of that money is going to go directly towards that. And we talked about Yamamoto yesterday, and I think that if there was odds makers talking about Yamamoto, I think that I'd shifted a little bit toward the Dodgers after the news came out on Ohtani. So, yeah, it's exciting. Everything that's kind of come out, it seems like it's win-win-win for everybody in terms of this deal. Like, Ohtani gets to defer. Obviously, he doesn't win in the present, deferring all the money, but he can now kind of skirt away from California taxes in those 10 years after, when he's getting that $68 million a year. The Dodgers get to obviously, save the money on the luxury tax. They get to technically, kind of save money overall, because the present day deal is now 10 years, 460 million, and the other millions are going to come from what Ohtani makes basically, and they have to bank that and kind of keep it. So it's a win-win for everybody. And I didn't think the number would be that staggering, and I'm excited that it is.
Yeah, I was surprised at the amount being deferred, and I was also a little surprised at the relatively short length that it's being deferred for. I kind of expected the deferred payments to last for 20 or 30 years, but not be quite so significant. I thought maybe, they're going to pay him, $15 million a year for the next 30 years, for a total of 450 of the 700 million deferred, but 680 deferred, but being paid over 10 years. And like you said, Vince, it saves the Dodgers $24 million on their luxury tax number. And the way that works, basically, when you're reading, sometimes you'll be reading an article and it'll be talking about money from a different time period. And then in parentheses, it'll say that's X dollars in 2023 dollars. And, that the concept is that because of inflation, basically, if the Dodgers were to give Shohei Ohtani $46 million this year, and adjusted for inflation, that would, if he didn't spend it, that would be worth about $70 million 10 years from now. That's kind of the thought process. And so the fact that they're paying him $68 million 10 years from now, if you do that process backwards, that $68 million is worth roughly $46 million or $44 million in today dollars. And so the $68 million is worth, according to the CBA, it's worth $44 million. And then you throw in the $2 million he's actually getting paid. That's how you get the $46 million number. One way I saw it described was essentially the Dodgers are paying Shohei Ohtani $46 million a year. And every year he is loaning them $44 million of it back, with the agreement that they will pay him $68 million, so basically paying interest on it, pay him $68 million 10 years later. And they're doing that 10 years in a row. That's not what they're doing, but mathematically that's what they're doing. And so the interesting part was Jack Harris reported that Ohtani had this approach with every team he talked to. His intent wherever he signed was to make it possible and easier for the team to build a winning team around him. This benefits the Dodgers, obviously, in a couple ways. Like you said, the luxury tax, the Dodgers aren't generally that worried about the first luxury tax number. They would have liked to get under that number in 2023 simply because of Ohtani, knowing that you're going to be trying to sign somebody who's going to have a qualifying offer attached. The Dodgers now are going to lose their second and fifth round draft picks because of signing Ohtani in next year's draft. Whereas if they had gotten under the luxury tax, I think it would have been just their third round pick or something like that. So, it's costing them a draft pick. And for me, I've said it many times, and people sometimes push back against it. I don't think the Dodgers care about the money at all when it comes to luxury tax. I think they only care about the baseball implications. And this deal tells you that, because this lets them, once the contract is up and they're paying the deferred money, then it's just money. They've already paid the luxury tax. I think the Dodgers, anything that's just money, they're totally fine with. It's when the draft pick compensation comes in. And so that's why, besides signing players with qualified offers, the other way that you lose draft picks is if you go over the third luxury tax threshold. And this gives the Dodgers a whole lot of wiggle room. They're like $60 million away from that threshold now. So they could add a couple big time players and still stay under that threshold, which is when they would start, their draft picks would drop in the draft and all of that. So it helps them a lot. It also helps Ohtani a little bit because, one of the big storylines all the time with free agents coming to California is California's tax rate, one of the highest in the country. Well, Shohei Ohtani can choose where he's living when he's getting the $68 million a year from the Dodgers after his retirement. And it doesn't have to be California. It doesn't even have to be the United States. And so he can plan ahead for tax purposes as far as how he's going to be taxed on that money. You can't, he could even move to Texas, I guess, where they don't have any state income tax. They're still going to, there would still be federal, all that. The governments are going to find ways to get their money from him, but he will have a little bit more say in it now because of that deferred money.
Yeah. And again, this all kind of benefits. I think it's fun to be on social media during all this because, well, you see the anger from other teams and you see, the Dodgers getting called, and not so many, and not the exact words, but, cheaters and everything else. And, how is this legal? It's literally in the CBA. Like they literally just agreed to this before 2022. Like it all this could have been done. And deferred money isn't new. Deferred money's been around for a while. Obviously it's never happened to this extent, but it's been around for a while. And I've seen people say, oh, now all the teams are going to do this and everything else. We may see this happen a little bit more, maybe, but it's not going to happen to this extent. It's not going to happen to every player. It's going to happen to like Juan Soto maybe could do this next year wherever he goes. He, could make enough off endorsements and everything else. Obviously not to what Ohtani makes, but for Ohtani to only be taking $2 million a year for the next 10 years, he knows he's going to get, $50 million in endorsements and everything else off the field the next 10 years from he already made that almost that in Anaheim, and now he's here in real Los Angeles. So he knows he's gonna do that. Not every player is gonna know that. Not every player is gonna want the money deferred. Not everybody's different. So I don't think there's gonna be a rash of this happening. I think it's gonna happen maybe a little bit more than before, or people are gonna be aware of it a little bit more before. Because I would probably say that most people didn't know Scherzer's deferrals. Even Mookie Betts has deferrals, and I know we've talked about it here, and it might be a little bit more known, but even his weren't obviously that big, so they're not as huge. It's not as big. It wasn't the biggest deal when he signed with the Dodgers. So yeah, it's good for the Dodgers. It feels, not that losing in the postseason and the way they've lost the last couple of years, and kind of over the course of this 10 years has like beaten us down as Dodger fans. We're still, we get beaten down in the moment, but we're still right back at it once the season starts. This is getting me ramped up, and it's December 11th right now as we're recording this, and I'm ramped. I want the season to start now, and not that I don't always want that, but I think I'm ready to go now. Like I was hyped up earlier. I'm ready to go watch the Dodgers. I'm ready to see what Ohtani can do. I'm ready to see everything. I'm ready to see the rest of the offseason play out, obviously, and I'm ready. It's one of those things that I feel rejuvenated a little bit as a fan, and not that I was down, but you get a little boost from it.
Yeah, you weren't unjuvenated, but Yeah, it is funny, the reaction to the deferred money, because like you said, it's not even a loophole. It is, a heading in the CBA. Like if you're formatting in Microsoft Word, you're choosing one of the headers for deferred money. And then the very first paragraph says there is no limit on how much a player can defer. It's right there. This is something they negotiated for. This wasn't something that somebody snuck in. Definitely not something the Dodgers snuck into the CBA. It was something that the players negotiated for. And in this case, the player himself had the idea. And so it's another thing. Like you mentioned Ohtani's endorsements. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes $200 million a year in endorsements when now he's with the Dodgers. If he wants to, he can. I think the sky's the limit. And so what this does a little bit, it's, if you think about this, if you take a bunch of zeros off the numbers to numbers that people like us can understand, it's just a sound retirement principle that he's going to make more in endorsements while he's an active player than he will after his playing career. And well, after his playing career, that's when the $68 million a year kicks in, roughly around the time that he's done playing. Start getting $68 million a year when maybe your endorsement money has dropped off by 50 or 60 million a year, And so it's, again, you got to take some zeros off for it to make sense to us, numbers that we can relate to, but the concept is perfectly sound. And it's kind of funny. They could have called this a 10-year, $460 million contract with 440 million of it deferred at 4.5% interest, and the numbers would end up the same. The only difference is people wouldn't be freaking out as much. And Shohei wouldn't be able to say, I got a $700 million contract, a deal like that. Like,
Shohei's agent.
However you want to say it. It's a record-breaking deal. And to be fair, $460 million would be a record-breaking deal too. But that's more in line with what you and I have talked about a lot, that's kind of what we expected. Somewhere between 450 and 500, somewhere in that ballpark is what he would get. And essentially that's what he got. But mathematically they can say it's a $700 million contract. I love Ohtani's approach though. And I just think it's great. I love it. And I'm sorry that people are so upset about it, but I'm not too sorry. We're going to come back in a minute. We're going to talk about the Dodgers also announcing Joe Kelly, which they announced before Ohtani. We'll talk about what number, who won the arm wrestling match to get number 17. We will talk about the trade that the Dodgers made to open up those 240-man roster spots. So thanks for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen, and please continue to keep it Locked On Dodgers. This episode is brought to you by Logix. There's been a lot of hot takes all around baseball. Well, let me give you the hottest take of the day. The best lineup in LA right now is the lineup of auto loans at Logix. They start off at the top with my favorites, the proven and dependable new and used vehicle loans. You can count on these guys to give you low rates and save you big time bucks. Next up, they've got an exciting new rookie sensation with their electric vehicle loans with super low rates and flexible payment terms. Rounding out their lineup, they've got their auto refinancing loans and lease buyout loans. With these guys, you could lower your monthly payments and get on the road to owning your car faster. Look, I know it's a hot take, but seriously, no one can beat the lineup at Logix. Visit your local Logix branch right here in the LA area and surrounding areas and let one of their amazing team members help you, or just apply online in minutes at logixbanking.com/car. That's LOGIX banking.com/car. Hey, we're back. We want to thank you again for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. It really does mean a lot to us. We love talking Dodgers with you, love talking Shohei Ohtani with you, and we're excited that we get to, I would guess, Vince, we've been doing Locked On Dodgers daily for nearly 5 years now. I think we got 10 more years in us. I think we could talk about Shohei 5 days a week for the next 10 years. I'm looking forward to that. Mookie Betts will be around for what, 8 of those?
Shohei views keep up. We're sticking around.
For
sure.
Yeah, and if all of you new viewers become everydayers, it may be, we may be able to do this full time and actually, quit that boring day job that is the only thing keeping me from being at the press conference on Thursday. But we really do appreciate you everydayers, and hope that more of you will become everydayers. And I want to remind you about the 224/7 streaming channels that Locked On has on YouTube, Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles. Get all your sports fixed 24 hours a day, whether you want the national stories or the LA stories. Both of those channels are there for you. The Dodgers, we knew that, we've known for a week, maybe more, that Joe Kelly was re-signing with the Dodgers. We knew that they couldn't announce it yet because they didn't have room on the 40-man roster. We also knew that Joe Kelly used to wear number 17 for the Dodgers. And if Shohei Ohtani came along, who wore number 17 for the Angels, he might want that number. There was also thought, Ohtani has said in the past that he actually wanted number 27 when he came to the Angels, but that was taken by Mike Trout. But I assumed after 6 years of wearing 17, he's probably attached to it. So I assumed he would want number 17. Either way, after Saturday, we knew the Dodgers now need to clear up 2 roster spots. And we talked yesterday about our guesses for what the trade would be. We said probably Jorbit, Vivas, and a reliever. I threw out the name Gus Varland. You mentioned Victor González and a couple others. It ended up being Vivas and González for Trey Sweeney from the Yankees, who was probably a little bit better prospect than either of us expected to be coming back in that deal. And overall, it seems like a pretty decent deal. I think Vivas has some potential. I don't think there was really a spot for him with the Dodgers. And Sweeney seems like a guy who could benefit from the Dodgers player development system and actually turn into, he's not going to be the next Corey Seager. The resemblances are superficial probably, but Sweeney could turn into a legit major leaguer.
Yeah. Trey Sweeney.
Yeah. I knew it was a 4-letter name that with the R and E in the middle. So.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, kind of what everyone's been saying, the people that know more prospects than us is, the Dodgers may have slightly downgraded at the current level of what the prospect is. But for the Dodgers, they had to clear 2 roster spots. And instead of just DFAing, 2 people and not getting anything for them, they got a little, he's not a project prospect. He's a good prospect that has a little project to him that could make him, even better prospect. So, yeah, I went and watched some of his swings and some of that bats from last year, and he's got a big leg kick. He's got a really nice swing. I can see why, one of the issues they said is he had issues with spin. I can see why, because when you have a swing like that, you're more susceptible to unloading when the pitches is probably bouncing a couple feet in front of you. But yeah, with the Dodgers specifically, like I said, the player development system, we've trusted it. We've seen it in action. And I think this is the type of guy, like if you think leg kick, you think Justin Turner right away. And they kind of helped him with that. Even, Chris Taylor's had one and then not had one, a couple little things here and there. So you can see that there's probably going to be tweaks that come to him that are going to, I wouldn't be surprised for him to be a top 50 prospect in all of baseball after the end of the season, assuming everything goes right. So good on them. Jorbit Vivas, like we talked about, great guy. He's a little bit more of a contact hitter than anything else. And now with Mookie Betts kind of moving to second base, and he really only played second base, Vivas, realistically, you're not going to have a spot on the Dodgers for probably the next 10 years or 8 years, however long Mookie has left, because he's going to be there. I guess he could technically have gone back to outfield at some point, but I don't think it would have been for Vivas. So, yeah, all in all, Dodgers made out well. I didn't think I would miss Victor González in the talking about it. And then kind of when he was gone, I'm like, dang, he was cool. He was a good guy. Jeff supposed to get a shoe for him. So, respect to Victor González.
Yeah, I've got a couple of Victor González bobbleheads right back there. Yeah, I mean, he's a big part of the Dodgers 2020 World Series title. So always have fond memories of González. But the fact is, both Vivas and González were guys who didn't have roles on the Dodgers this year, and maybe not in future years, and hard to hold a 40-man roster spot for a guy like that. So a guy who does have one of those spots is Joe Kelly. The Dodgers actually announced Joe Kelly before they announced Shohei Ohtani. But in their announcement, the picture of Joe Kelly, they had the number 17 airbrushed out, which does lead you to believe that Shohei Ohtani is getting number 17. They then had Joe Kelly listed as number 99 on the roster, and then it changed to number 58. But according to a video that Joe Kelly and his wife made, it appears that it will be number 99. 99 is a great number for Joe Kelly. He's got the glasses. He's got I'm a relief pitcher who doesn't know where the ball's going. Everything about him screams Wild Thing. And Wild Thing was number 99, obviously, in the movie Major League. And so, and Joe Kelly, he's got the personality for a 99. Hyunjin Ryu, I love Ryu. he didn't quite have the, like, if you think the 399s, Manny Ramirez, Hyun-Jin Ryu, and Joe Kelly, two of those guys are number 99s, and the other one is Hyun-Jin Ryu.
Yeah. 99 is, one of those numbers not everybody's going to take, not everybody's going to get. And the fact that he hasn't worn 99 his entire career is just, I know he said there's a reason he liked 17. And I think when he first came up, he was 58. But yeah, it fits perfectly. We're going to see, I'm probably going to try to work on one. We're going to see, shirts with the wild thing or something of that nature with the glasses and everything else. And if he doesn't come out to that song, it's obviously a big missed opportunity. And well, the fact that his wife, his wife's the one with the Instagram. He doesn't have an Instagram. His wife had made the video before, basically offering Ohtani anything with the number 17 on it, willing to unstitch stuff on certain things in order to give him 17. So, she took pride in that, and it worked. Ohtani signed with the Dodgers. They don't need 17 anymore. If you don't, I think she's Ashley Nicole Kelly on Instagram. Go look. I also tweeted out the video that someone else had posted, but go watch the video. It's pretty funny. They have all the stuff going out there, and then at the end, she reveals the number, and it's perfect.
Yep. So now Joe Kelly and Shohei Ohtani are both officially Dodgers, which means the 40-man roster is full again, which means when they sign Yoshinobu Yamamoto in the next couple days, they're going to need to clear up another spot. There are definitely still some trades coming this offseason. I think you and I both expect Michael Busch or Miguel Vargas, and maybe even both, to be dealt this winter. It's hard to imagine both of them still being on the Dodgers when spring training starts. Other guys, other prospects, depending on what the Dodgers do, there will be more roster moves because they are not done yet. And they know that, and we know they know that, and they know that we know that they know that. And that's exciting. So it's going to be a fun off season. Like you said, we're anxious for the season to start, but also I'm excited to see what the next month or so brings as far as continuing to build out this roster, because there's going to be some more exciting stuff.
Yeah. And we'll see if Trey Sweeney was someone the Rays actually liked, or if the Dodgers are going to keep him around.
Yeah. I think that'll do it for today. You got anything else, Vince?
No. We're good. Come back and watch this the rest of this week and the rest of the time until season starts and through the season.
Yeah, just forever. For the rest of your life, listen to Locked On Dodgers or watch it first thing in the morning. It's a half hour a day. You can even speed it up if you want to. But we love talking Dodgers with you. We really appreciate our everydayers. We appreciate all of you. And we hope that if you're not an everydayer, you will become one. Remember to check out Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles, the 24/7 streaming channels on YouTube that the Locked On Network has for you. You can follow us on Instagram and on Twitter at Locked On Dodgers. Vince is on Twitter at VinceSince91. I'm on Twitter at Snydog, and both of our DMs are open there. You can also shoot us an email anytime you want, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or you can send us a voicemail or a text message to 323-863-LOCK, 5625. We are here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us. When you get in your car or sit on your couch, tell your smart device to play podcast Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. We will talk to you tomorrow.
Have a good one.